As an Icelander, I get asked so much about Icelandic names, so let's talk about it. First of all, my name is Unnur Eggisdóttir, which has been a whole problem because I have lived a lot in the US. I lived in California from the ages 8 to 12, and then I moved back to the States to go to school there when I was 22. And my name, Unnur Eggisdóttir, is just impossible for Americans to pronounce. So when I lived in California as a kid, kids just called me Unnur, which I hated. And before that, I lived in Spain and Belgium. And there, everyone just called me Onur, which I also didn't love. And this was never a problem for my little brother. His name is Jakob, so he was just Jacob. So yeah, having like a traditional Icelandic name has always been a pain in the butt for me. So now I just tell people in the US that my name is Una. It's more pronounceable. And it's already an Icelandic name, Una, so whatever. It's the best solution I've been able to come up with. If you have any other ideas, I'm open to them. My last name is Eggertsdóttir, which is a very also traditional last name. And it follows the Icelandic tradition of being named your dad's first name and then adding dóttir or son, depending on if you're a daughter or a son. If you're non-binary, it's bur. So if I was non-binary, I would be Eggertsbur. My brothers are Eggertsson. My dad's last name is Guðmundsson because his dad's name was Guðmundur, and then you conjugate Guðmundur to Guðmunds. So my dad is Eggert Guðmundsson. I'm Unnur Eggertsdóttir. And then my mom's last name is Lýðsdóttir because her dad's name was Lýður, and then you conjugate it to Lýðs. So in our family, my brothers are the only ones that have the same last name. My brother and I don't have the same last name. My parents don't have the same last name. Yeah, so when women in Iceland get married, they don't change their last names because then it would be like they were their husband's sister. You know, like if my mom changed her name to Guðmundsson when she got married to my dad, that would be like they were siblings or something. Also, she would be a son instead of dóttir. So it would just be confusing all around, and nobody does that. Sometimes there are Icelanders who have traditional, like European family names, like Brím, Thoroddsen. I'm like blanking on others because there are like and I don't know a lot of people who have them. But then I think sometimes they'll combine them or give them to their kids so that they will all have like one same familial last name. But it's way more common to do this it's pretty patriarchal to like your dad's last name and then dóttir or son. However, there are those who use their mother's name and then add dóttir or son. Some people do this because they don't know who their father is when they're born, or they have a strained relationship with their dad, and they would just prefer to be identified to their mom. There was a period of time where I was like, why should it be the dad? Like, I'm a feminist. I want to do it to my mom. I want to be like identified with my mom's name. And some people have like added their mom's name so like I would be Eggert og Jónínu dóttir, which is just, it's already a nuisance to spell my last name. So there's a million different ways that you can do it. And in Iceland, it's actually pretty easy to like change your name with like the national registry. You just go to Iceland.is, and our like bureaucracy is infinitely more simpler than it is in America. Like my experience with, for example, just like the DMV, or my entire experience with like immigration is so complicated compared to the bureaucracy in Iceland. Everything with like my children, myself, moving, like it's so much simpler. For example, in Iceland, we don't use checks. In America, when I had to pay rent with checks, like what? So that's kind of the name logistical aspect. I also find it really interesting that it doesn't occur to women in Iceland to change their last names when they get married. It's not a part of the conversation because that's never been the tradition. Whereas in the US, like when I got married and we were getting our marriage license and all that, The lady asked me like 5 times if I was absolutely sure that I wasn't going to take my husband's last name. She was like, it's going to be a pain in the ass to like do it later. Like, don't you just want to do it now? Because if you change your mind, it's going to be like a whole hassle. And I was just like, no, girl. Like, I have a last name. And, like, yeah, that name is tied to a man, which is very patriarchal, like, of course, in itself, but I'm not, like, that's my name. That's what I've been known as my entire life. Why would I change that just because some guy is so obsessed with me that he's like trying to marry me? And even like in the US, it is, for me as an Icelander, it is like, I've never fully understood it, not in a judgmental way, but just in like a, you've been known as this one name your entire life, and then say like for 20, 30, 40 years, and then just because you now are married or whatever, you're just going to change your identity. That, like, that is truly baffling to Icelandic women in particular. And again, no judgment. I've also like, I know some girls who were like, yeah, I couldn't wait to get rid of my last name so like bitches from high school can't be like stalking me on the internet or whatever. I'm also interested in like when women get married in America and then take their husband's last name and then say they get divorced, do they go back to their maiden name or do they just keep their husband's name? And then what if they remarry? Do they then take their new husband's last name or keep their old, or if they've gone back to their maiden name? Like, it just, from like a type B lazy person's perspective, it sounds like such a hassle. So I do like the system of just, you're born with your name, you keep it, and it's yours, even if your last name is tied to another man. I would love to hear from you guys in the comments, like your thoughts, if you have changed your name, if you decided not to change your name. If you're wildly offended by anything I've said, I apologize. These are just my thoughts as an Icelandic lady. And yeah, hit subscribe if you like more of these ramblings. I've only done short form videos on YouTube so far. This is the first like long one I do. I'm not sure if anyone will actually watch all of this, but my husband says it's good to also have long form videos on YouTube. Works well for me because I like to yap. I'm not very Icelandic when it comes to keeping to myself and not being super chatty. I'm definitely way more American when it comes to yapping and small talk and wanting to chat. So yeah, let's chat in the comments and let me know if this is your vibe or you want me to just stick with the short form, because I'll do whatever the majority tells me to do.